This video was selected for release this month by my doll faces and Pop Tarts over on Patreon. Much love to you as always. Hello dumplings, welcome back to my humble channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all you new subscribers that have been coming along recently. Thanks very much for putting some faith in me and spending some time with me in this crazy attention economy. Also, by the way, 30% of you that watch me regularly are not subscribed, and that makes a dangerously low amount of sense, okay? You like being here. I see you come back time after time. I see my analytics, okay? Please get subscribed. Thank you so much. And if you like the tips and the information I'm giving to you in this video, please click the like button so I can know that you want me to make more of these kinds of videos. So I'm a spiritual counselor and also a witchcraft author and a witchcraft mentor, and I am a witch for many, many years as well. And so one of the things that I often end up talking about is really kind of like reigniting the spiritual spark when things feel a bit flat, when a practitioner feels a little bit disconnected. And this is obviously something that I've gone through as well. Okay. I don't just swing from month to month, you know, overwhelmed with ideas, overflowing with inspiration and energy for my practice and feeling like everything is really, you know, sort of smooth sailing. No, I have times also where I just feel flat. I feel grey. I feel like I'm not really sure what to do. I don't have inspiration, and I feel like anything I could do might go wrong or might not quite hit the spot. So I end up doing not a lot. And then I just feel worse about the whole thing. So I periodically like to put out video resources where I try and help people to get back into their magical zone and flex their sort of magical biceps again if they feel like it's been a while since they really strengthened the connection to the spiritual and really felt in touch with the divine externally or the divine within themselves. So that's basically what this video is all about. I'm going to give you some tips and some ideas that I hope will be able to kind of lift you a little bit if you're just feeling a bit blah about the whole thing. Sometimes it's quite hard to feel excited or enchanted, I think, by witchhood, especially when we're in a very fast-paced reality with a lot of different pressures. There's a lot of different collective shit going on. We often don't see the magic in the existence that we're living, and we can end up feeling very cynical, very apathetic, and very much as though, you know what, like we're not really feeling very witchy. Sue me, I'm not feeling very witchy today. That has definitely kind of been my feeling sometimes, and I've found some ways to reframe, and I've spoken to many people who have also created that reframe for themselves. So if you just feel like you've gone off track recently, this one is for you. This is a love letter from me to you. I hope something in here can help you. Okay, so if your ritual is feeling robotic, if your tarot cards are over in a corner somewhere gathering dust, giving you the side eye, if it's been a while since you attended your altar, let's get down to it. Grab a pen because you might want to make some notes. Okay, first of all, darlings, this is a little exercise that you can try. I've done it myself on many an occasion, okay? And I think it just puts me back into the driver's seat as a witch and makes me figure out what actually is going to happen next and where I am with everything. So what I do is I sit down with a pen and paper and I write down painstakingly everything that's on my spiritual to-do list, okay? If I have some books in my to be read that are about witchcraft or sorcery or runes or whatever it is, I know I've got a few on my list at the moment that are about chaos magic. There's one about protection magic. There's one about glamour magic, okay? So I write down the books. I write down the things that I want to read about, the books that I already own, and the books I'm planning on owning about various things. I also write down anything that I want to do for the upcoming Sabbath, for the upcoming Esprit, or for any upcoming anniversary or anything like that, that I know, oh wow, I really, really want to make time for that particular thing. I really want to do something for that lunar occasion. I really want to do something for that Sabbath. So I write that down. Then I write down everything that I really want to practice more or do more. If I want to commune more with my matron goddess, I write that down. If I want to be practicing my runes more, or I wish that I had written more in my book of mirrors, I write those things down. I basically write down everything that I know I want to do, that I keep thinking I'd like to do, and that I'm not doing, okay? So once you've done all of that and you've got your complete list of everything, I want you to fucking burn it. I just want you to take it to a fireproof dish of some bloody description, okay? And I want you to burn it. And in that moment, I want you to reclaim for yourself all of the worry and the energy and potentially also the guilt that you've been feeding into all of the things on that list. If you want, you can say some words as well, some words of power, some words of release, some words of surrendering to the moment of being where you are in your witchhood instead of thinking about getting where you want to go or where you think you should be. Whatever it is, whether you just want to be quiet, maybe you want to stick a playlist on of some relevant music, but I really can recommend nothing more when you're feeling a bit uninspired and drab and you feel like there's so many things that you should be doing and that you wish you had the energy or the drive to do. Can't recommend anything better than just writing that all out and then just fucking burning it. Alternatively, you can rip it into tiny little pieces and shove it in the recycling. Whatever it is you want to do, I think there's a lot of power in coming to that list and feeling into the desire for your imagined future as a witch, for your imagined state of being in your witchhood right now, and then being like, fuck that. Fuck that, because that's actually not where I am right now. And it's not what I have the drive or the time or the energy or the money or the inclination to do. And I have to really be with myself in the unfolding and figure out what is right for me at this moment and what is spiritually possible right now. And so that list is almost like crushing you, or it's something that's hanging over you. It's kind of haunting you and it's just making you essentially feel bad about yourself and what you're capable of doing right now. So that's the first thing I would recommend. Burn the to-do list, please. The next thing that I think it's a really good idea to do is to recalibrate your mindset as a practitioner, okay? Growth is not linear. Redefine what progress actually looks like in your reality. And remember that if you're a witch, there is a very, very high chance that you're very interested in seasonal energy and in the changing of the seasons and the shifting of the natural cycle of nature as we go through the year and as we go from Sabbath to Sabbath on the wheel of the year for many of you, right? Now, in the same way as we have those times where it's dark and it's cold and the nights are long and the days are short and everything appears to be dead above ground and the animals are hibernating. In that same way, we have those cycles in our lives, but they are not usually seasonal. They are affected by many other different kinds of variables. They're affected by the amount of support we have, the amount of sleep we're getting, what is going on with work, what is going on with relationships. When was the last time since we had a really big period of rest and just sort of quiet inward contemplation, as opposed to buzz and activity across so many different areas of life? Sometimes the body, the mind, the state of witchhood is begging for an opportunity to be in hibernation. And although that might not be happening for you at the usual seasonal time of hibernation, it is just as valid of a form of rest and recuperation as it is when we celebrate it during that darker half of the year. So ask yourself, is this actually technically late autumn, early winter, or late winter, very early spring for you in your reality? And why might that be? You can explore the reasons for that if you want to. But I think it's really important that if you do find that you are now in a psycho-spiritual winter in your witchhood, that you validate that you sit with that and you say, growth is not linear. Growth is not step by step by step in a forward motion. Growth can be cyclical. Growth has a rhythm to it. Growth has a flow to it that I need to trust, even though it doesn't always feel like marching boldly forward. Fallow seasons and dark nights and periods of rest and sacred pausing are all valid. All of those things are valid in the spiritual journey. I actually think that it can be really unhelpful to fall into some kind of productivity trap that is based largely on the way that we live in a capitalistic society and a capitalistic culture in many cases. I think it can be really difficult when we bring that into our witchhood and we enforce that in our witchhood really quite unconsciously without really connecting or checking in with the fact that that is not how we want to do business in our spiritual path. And actually we sign off on what goes on within our spiritual path. It is one of the only places where we truly fucking feel sovereign on a day-to-day basis most of the time, which is why I'm so interested in promoting spiritual sovereignty as a philosophy and really encouraging people to go where they are called to go, or indeed in the case of this video, to go nowhere at all if that's what you need to do, right, for a certain time. So I think if you're in a fallow season, if you're having a dry spell, if you're having a dark time, if you're having a still time or a slow time, it's really important to honor that and to commit to actually sitting with that, letting it sink in, letting you go into the soil of yourself as opposed to forcing the shoots to rush up, and forcing the green sort of fuses to alight with life. Maybe that's not what is supposed to be happening right now in your internal system of seasons. If you're having a void of activity right now, it's not necessarily failure, it's compost. It's compost. You're allowing things to grow in it. You're allowing things to steep and marinate in it. You are trusting that that is the rhythm, and you're going with that as opposed to forcing yourself against it, right? Which doesn't feel natural and is actually making you feel sick and making you feel worse. There might be a handful of you here listening to this thinking, Kellyanne, I came here for inspiration to get moving. Okay, I've already been in a fallow season for too long. So that's cute, honey. But what do I do to actually like get this show on the road? But honestly, I really believe that if we accept where we are right now and we say the pause is sacred, the rest is holy, there's something wise in this non-movement. There's something wise that if I would just give up that sort of frustrated tension to want to do something, then I could really allow myself to figure out what it is that needs to be done and that I can do. So there is a point to this. I'm not just saying like, oh, you're going to remain in your state of non-movement indefinitely. You're going to be like the hanged man, never coming down from the tree, and that's going to be it for you. Not at all. But the hanged man in tarot is a representation of somebody who understands that they are doing still inward work, and that now is not necessarily the time to be building and developing and growing and pushing and, going forward. It's to be still. It's to acknowledge that like, this is where I am in the unfolding. And so I think I'm asking you to take on that hanged man energy. The sooner the hanged man surrenders to what the truth of their reality is right now, the sooner they can get that light of illumination and come down from the tree and know exactly what it is that needs to happen next, because they've done the work of acknowledging that they are composting. And that is fine. Not everything is supposed to be shooting up through the ground all the time. A really good way of seeing things whenever I'm a little bit stunted and I feel like I'm in some kind of frustrated pause of non-movement is to think about what my body wants, not what I'm looking at that other witches are doing, not these lofty, ambitious ideas that I have in mind, not the next thing that I think I should be doing on my very kind of linear, ambitious path, but more like, what is my soma telling me, right? Your soma holds so many of the fucking keys to what it is that you're supposed to be doing or not doing, what would be right for you, what would nurture you. So ask the body what it wants. Does it want to scream? Does it want to dance? Does it want to rest? Does it want to stretch? What does it need? Does it need engagement with the elements? Does it need to take in a deep breath of air outside? Does it need to cuddle up with your pet? Does it need a weighted blanket? What the fuck does it need right now? Does it need even a certain type of food? If you ask your body what it needs right now in this moment, you'll probably figure out a few key things, like you have tension in your neck and you need to roll your head on your neck. You might be dehydrated. I actually think I haven't drunk enough water this morning. Now that I'm thinking about it, actually, as I'm filming this very video, I'm thinking next thing I'm going to do is commit to giving my body water. That's the next thing on the agenda. And there's something very, very sacred and very beautiful and magical about doing that. I think it's really a very interesting thing for me about my journey with witchhood is that, as I've said before on this channel, I can be very neck up as a human being. I forget to go neck down. And that's why I have a gym practice, and that's why I have a Pilates practice at home. And that's why I try to do as much walking as possible, and I track my walking. Because you know what? It's really hard for me not to just dance around in the rooms in my head. There are many, many rooms in my head. And it's very hard for me not to keep going above the head and go into the astral and go into the imaginative. I'm always cooking up something in the fancy kitchen up here, and there's just so much to explore. And I forget that I've got a meat suit, and I actually end up resenting or ignoring my meat suit. And that's really not good for me, especially as someone who has depression and especially as someone who has a long-term back injury, right? I have chronic pain. So I just can't afford to be doing those things. But also I forget that the body is a magical instrument. I forget to take the body with me. And it was when I started doing guided meditations for my patrons and, here on the channel, sometimes when I've done lives, I've done them on Facebook in the past, I've done them in person for people, for groups of people. When I started doing guided body scan meditations at the beginning of ritual work, or even at the beginning of talks that I was giving, it really made me lock into the fact that I believe this is so sacred for others, and I really need to bring that message home to myself as well. So if you know that you regularly discount what the body is asking of you and what the body is suggesting, do it now, do it today. If you're watching this video because you've been uninspired and you've been kind of flat, kind of grey, kind of disconnected at the moment, definitely ask the body, what's the next move, counselor? I give you the power. Your soma knows the way home. And that's what I always try and keep in mind, that I try and give my body a little bit more trust and a little bit more credit for whatever needs to come next. And sometimes my body honestly says to me, I don't want you to use your brain too much. I'd like you to have a bare fucking minimum practice. I'd like you to connect your practice to the other things you're doing in your life so I don't feel like I've got twice as many things on my plate. I just want your practice to be the vampire fantasy novel you're reading. I just want your practice to be your activism. I don't want you to split your art and your practice into separate rooms. I don't want you to split your activism and your witchhood into separate rooms. Please, Kellyanne, can we bring these things together, and can you start to see that the thread of spirituality runs through all of these things like a beautiful pearl necklace? And that's really where I want you to be with everything. I want you to be in flow with these things coming closer together. And as I listened to my body more and more, I made that journey much more of a priority. That's when all of my gym sessions became communions with my matron deity. She very much said that to me. She was like, I want you to work out in my honor. I don't want you to plan times for these giant epic devotionals. They're lovely. They're fine. Okay. You got customized beads for them. Okay, bitch, I see you. But I want you in the gym. I want you strengthening your core muscles so that you actually don't feel scared walking around in the world with an injured back. That's what I want for you. I want you to feel stronger and then put some of the glory on my name. What a wise thing for a goddess to tell me. And I started to really realize that like all of my self-care and all of my physical sensation, all of my bodily attention and compassion is a spiritual act. It's not divorced from the spiritual, it's part of it. And it's how I allow myself to keep rooted and anchored and grounded as well. It's a massive part of my grounding practice, which is a huge part of my spiritual hygiene and my energy management. And I will leave a video down below for anyone who wants to know more about having a good energy management system, a really good system for spiritual hygiene, including grounding, cleansing, all that kind of thing, centering. What do these terms mean? How can you do them? How can you shield? How do you protect? I'll tell you all of that in the video down below, okay? So click on over there afterwards if you need more information on that. Here is another really great mindset shift for witches that are feeling uninspired and like you're going around in these circles of tense non-movement right now. What is your burnout saying? Conversate with your burnout. Conversate with that feeling of frustration or tension or demotivation or procrastination, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be burnout that you're calling it, but like conversate with that aspect of you that feels dense and tense and still and not in motion, and that you are currently frustrated with, or you've clicked on this video to try and get ideas of how to dissolve it, how to smash it to pieces. I would recommend rather sitting with it. Ask it what it wants. Ask it why it's there. Ask it how you can negotiate with it or come to accept it or come to align yourself with the wisdom that is coiled inside it like a beautiful ancient magical serpent of sorcery that you are just not getting to. You're not being able to understand the vibrancy of that coiled hidden serpent, right? That is inside that stone of non-movement that you've been trying to push aside frantically because you're worried that it means something about you as a practitioner, or you're worried that it's never going to leave you, or you're worried that it is a damning indictment of how much energy or love you wish to give to your witchhood. Maybe it's a lesson. Maybe it's a test. Maybe it's a teacher disguised as a big heavy rock of non-movement. And it's been waiting for you to open yourself up, open your consciousness wide enough, expand it enough that the lessons will really go in, instead of you saying, no, why is this here? This shouldn't be here. I'm embarrassed by it. I'm upset by it. I'm comparing myself to other witches that seem to be go, go, go. And I don't have that get up and go. So I want this moved, get it gone, bring the removal people in, get rid of it. Instead, try sitting with it, try talking to it, try writing a letter to it, try allowing it to write a letter back. Tell it why you're afraid of it and ask it what its advice would be for how to be less afraid of it, for what it's supposed to be telling you that you are just not getting, you're just not absorbing it right now. This is the practice and the process of setting the ego aside and letting that dense force of non-movement teach you something about yourself and your practice that you've been needing, that you just weren't previously open to because it wasn't in the egoic brochure. This was not in the brochure, okay? This is not how I want to feel about myself as a witch. This dense rock of non-moving, sort of tense imperfection or procrastination is not what I like to think of myself as a practitioner, right? It's not what I like to accept. And so I want it moved. We are really putting the ego on the naughty chair now, and we're letting ourselves have a conversation and a really open kind of dialogue with that part of us that might have really, really juicy, interesting things to teach. And we're just not letting ourselves go there. You also might want to write some kind of love letter or some kind of open letter of admittance and confession and vulnerability to your witchhood. One thing that really helped me was not only seeing my burnout or my procrastination or my confusion as an entity that might have lessons, but also seeing my witchhood in the same way as a loving, gorgeous, glittering entity that has been with me for so many years that I love beyond measure. But I have to know, just like I know with my relationships with humans and gods, that relationship is changeable, that it goes through these different, stages, and it goes into these different rooms. It doesn't always look the same. Why am I trying to make it always look the same and always look better day after day after day? I don't conduct any of my human relationships like that. I leave room for nuance and for complexity and for negotiations to have to take place and for me to have to work to understand the other person. When I realize that I'm not doing that with my witchhood, I see it as a problem. I see it like, oh, hang on, I'm trying to sort of like carve ostentatiously my witchhood into this glorious shape that I want it to be in for whatever fucking egoic reason, instead of really like connecting with my witchhood as though it's person to person, as though my witchhood is dancing with me in these beautiful sacred steps of motion. And sometimes I'm not going to understand the moves, or we're going to switch things up. The music is going to change, or the music is going to stop. And instead of screaming at my dance partner, my witchhood, I would like to say, oh, what happened? Okay, what do we do now? Do we get creative? Do we sit down and have a rest? What is supposed to go on? What is supposed to be occurring here? And I think a lot of what I'm talking about in this video, to be honest, is just trust. It's just trusting instead of pushing. It's just being open and learning and discovering instead of directing and commanding, like Emperor in Shadow kind of vibes. So far I've mentioned the Emperor and then also not the High Priestess, the Hanged Man. If you're not fluent in the language of tarot, I apologize, but I think you can kind of see where I'm going here with these tarot comparisons. If you are fluent in that particular symbolic language, being Emperor in Shadow about my witchhood, it never felt right. It never felt right. It never felt like, something that I was supposed to be doing. I always knew when I came back to that point of conversation with my witchhood as a sacred entity in my life, that was where it became romantic. That was where it was like two lovers meeting in that naked vulnerability of the Lovers card. I haven't picked up a tarot deck for 4 or 5 days. I've been off work, and you can totally fucking tell. Clearly, I just need some tarot cards right now. I can't seem to stop thinking about tarot. Gosh. If you need to get a little bit less elaborate, if you feel like it's that urge towards the elaborate that is causing you to be in non-movement because things can't be perfect, or because you don't have the energy or the inclination to make things really fucking flowery, please go back to the bare minimum. For the love of the gods, go back to the bare minimum altar, bare minimum practice, right? If you feel like something is going to be better than nothing, but you're doing nothing because you want to do everything, check yourself right there. If you know that what I just said applies to you, please check yourself for your own good. It's going to feel so much better for you to just say, I'd like to do one thing this week, and this is the one thing I'm going to do. And if it's art, then it's art. If it's going to a protest or making a donation, then it's that. If it's spending quality, beautiful time with your children, reading them fairy tales, going to the park with them, then it's going to be that. It doesn't always need to look orthodox, right? I always say that actually there are so many things that witches do that are unorthodox. In other words, I'm not saying they're weird, okay? A lot of the shit we do is weird. I'm saying if somebody walked in on you doing it, they wouldn't know it was witchcraft. And I try to put more of that into my practice. I love sitting at my altar. I love lighting candles. I love doing spells. I love doing rituals. I love that. I do. I love sitting at my Hell altar and my Mary altar and doing devotional work. I love prayer. I love the simple art and act of prayer. I just sit down and I say, Hail Hell, Queen of the lowest world, Shepherdess of the dead, Daughter of Loki, hear me. And then I just say, fuck's sake, bitch, what the hell's going on? I literally need to get myself calibrated. And like, I'll say the grandiose bit first, and then I'll just be like, because I feel like I'm really there with a sacred sister when I'm with Hell, right? And same with Mary. I say the Hail Mary and I just go the fuck into it, right? That on its own is me being less flowery. Before, years ago, I used to be so flowery about devotion. I'd put the perfume on, I'd read this whole address, I'd get the beads out, I'd get the sacred jewelry on. And sometimes when I was feeling really fucking depressed or really messed up because of the pandemic or because of the global fucking situation and the tyrants and the clowns that are in charge, or the breakdown of my incredibly toxic relationship, which was terrifying to be in and even worse to get out of. And if you want to know more about that, I'll leave that video down below, bitch. That is an hour that I hope you will not wish you had back. But yeah, if ever I was feeling something like that, I would be like, oh, I can't do devotional, I can't do prayer, I can't commune with the goddess because I can't do all that testicles, spectacles, wallet and flowers and glitter and all those things I need to do. I need to do them. What? Who the fuck is coming round to check that I've done them? Who's doing that? No one. It's between me and my gods, me and my entities, right? Me and my divine disembodied intelligences. And it was the Holy Mother that really said to me, like, I want you to surrender in your tears to me. I don't need all this. I want you to come to me sobbing in your fucking pajamas, right? from your old bed sheets that you couldn't wash, like messed up. Come to me messed up. I didn't like sit at the foot of the cross for you to come to me like this, bitch. Oh my God, my new Christian haters that are watching are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, how can you work with Mary? Don't worry, there are videos on it. Enjoy hating. Hate away, dear friends.
Fuckity bye.
Honestly, if you've got 1,000,001 things on your altar that are reminding you of 1,000,001 things that you need to do, or you need to organize, or you need to dust, please just take everything off the altar. Take everything off the altar. Just have like one crystal, one candle, boom, done. Actually make it intentionally bare minimum. If you do spells that are deeply scripted and involve loads of tools and ingredients and stuff, fair play, have at it, right? I love that more sort of like opulent, maybe more trad vibe, but stop it all. Just stop it all and be like, I'm going to do a spell with no tools. In fact, I'm going to do a spell with no tools, and it's going to be a spell to help me fall back in love with my witchcraft again. It's going to be very meta. It's going to be a meta bare minimum spell. I'm going back to fucking basics. It's just me and my mind, me and my body, right? So I really feel like if you need to strip everything back, strip everything back. Some of my greatest spiritual lessons have been around that exact premise. When all else fails, remember that you are the channel, you are the power, you are your own altar, you are a divine being, you are a bunch of different planets unfolding in a deep and complex cosmos that's only going to occur once in the whole of space and time, and that's you. You have your own mythopoetic structures inside yourself. You have law that is only your law, okay? So you can always revert back to just kind of like the internal magic and the internal rooms upon rooms stuffed with beautiful magical wisdom that only you have from your dreams and your hopes and your memories and your favorite colors and favorite foods and favorite movies and favorite books and all of that stuff. And I've talked about that on the channel many times. I feel like looking to ourselves and our likes and dislikes and, our favorite quotes and all of that stuff, our favorite walk that we do in our neighborhood, right? Looking at those things and really seeing that as the starting point and as the alpha and omega in our witchhood can be really good when we feel like we are sincerely lost in the source of ambition and we have started to go deeply into non-movement in a way that does not necessarily feel correct. Let yourself and your honoring of yourself as a world of witchcraft be the thing that gets you back on track, if anything is going to. And you are not broken when you are in a sacred pause. You are becoming. There is no tool, there is no trend, there is no teaching that is more sacred than your divine living soul, your divine breathing body, going through the motions right now with whatever it is that is affecting you. Your law is sacred. Your journey is sacred with its stops and its starts and its internal seasons. All of that stuff is something that can never be discounted and should never be written off. And it's not to do with anybody else, and nobody else signs off on it. You sign off on it. You're the editor-in-chief of every fucking issue of the magazine of your life that comes out. Start with your own name. Say your own name as though it is one of the deepest invocations you possibly know. Just repeat your name like a mantra. You can start with your image if if you want to, with an image of yourself in a photograph, or by just looking in the mirror and doing some mirror work, eyeballing yourself a little bit. Start with one of your favorite objects, right? Just hold it and pass it between your hands, right? Just like a piece of jewelry that you know has magical intention and meaning or memories attached to it. And just pass it from hand to hand. Start to think of it as a god in its own right, and also as one of the many scales on your shimmering divine body, right? Your body of work in this life, your body of thoughts and memories that you've put out, all the many spinning mirrors of you that you have created in this lifetime that show their light refractions across everything else, because you were here. Because you were here and you were powerful. You are not falling behind, okay? Your slow lane is sacred. Let the rest of the witchy world race ahead if it wants to, and if you feel like that's what it's doing. But for you right now, that is not what's happening. That's not what's on the agenda, and that is fucking fine. Darlings, you may be a little bit surprised by some of the advice that came up in this video. You might have been looking for, like, you know, a handy checklist of things, a new to-do list for yourself maybe, that would be easier to do or would feel more inspiring. But actually, what I've attempted to give you here are some mindset shifts, okay? Some mental recalibrations to help you to understand that very often it's the pressure you're putting on yourself that is forcing you into a protracted period of non-movement. If you do feel ready to try some new techniques, I'll leave a video down below that I made not long ago of different tips and different things you can do to inspire you as a witch if you are ready to take some different kinds of magical and mystical action. And I definitely just have a whole channel, guys, filled with that kind of shit, to be honest. There are so many of my videos, especially in the witchcraft playlist, that are going to help you with that. They're just going to give you some inspiration to help you to move in a different direction or do something that feels very exciting and very sumptuous for you. But for this video, I really wanted to get clear on some simple mindset reframes, and I hope that that has given you some of the impetus to be able to look at the delay differently and see your sacred pause as sacred, see your magical slow lane as something to be embraced and enjoyed rather than resented. So feel free to stay, check out more of my videos, have a little binge if you have the time and the inclination. Again, hit a like on the video if you enjoyed the tips that came up. You can check out my Patreon. I'll leave the link down below. There are goodies every single month for those of you who want to make that extra investment and get a lot more material and information from me. I've been doing Patreon for many a moon now, so there are incredible collections of printables, one-card riff videos. For those in the higher tier, we have 2 lives every single month, 2 lives, and playback is available on all of the lives I've ever done. So if you become a Pop-Tart today, you have untold amounts of lives that you can watch, okay? Videos that I've done where we've brought everybody together as a group in the Pop-Tarts tier and really hash things out. You also get discounts. You also get access to the poll every month, so you can tell me what you would like to watch. And thank you so much once again to my patrons for selecting this little gem. Okay, my darlings, I'm off. Don't forget, if you want a reading or session, you know where I am. Hit the link to the store down below. Have a beautiful rest of the day, whatever you happen to be doing. Much love, keep it rebellious, and blessed be. Mwah.